Yeehaw partners, today I've got a custom Wild Western minifigure series for y'all. Let's get straight into it. The first minifigure is of course the sheriff. I think this minifigure looks very good. I've given him a lasso and a revolver and this snake for an accessory. His legs are from the Lone Ranger and I've given him this old cowboy torso with this cool belt print across his chest holding all his bullets. I've of course given him a cowboy hat and this rugged looking face. I think this is a solid minifigure to start off the series and is definitely the hero out of all of them. Next of course is the outlaw. I went through a few different indecisions when I was deciding on what accessories to give this guy, but in the end I went for this bag of loot and a crowbar to make it look like he just robbed the bank. And I think this makes it more of a fun minifigure, especially with this slightly goofier face from Lego City. I think this is a solid, more fun criminal. Next up is a falconer. We did get a falconer a few series ago, but that one was more medieval, so I think it's a cool minifigure to have, especially because it fits the theme so well. I've given her the same falcon piece, but I've given her these boot legs and this tan torso. I've also used the head from the soccer referee because she comes with a microphone, and then you can make it look like she's talking to the crowd. This hat is from the paleontologist, and I think overall it's a pretty solid minifigure. Next I've got a native warrior. This minifigure's legs are from a tomahawk warrior from a few series ago, and then this torso is from Wolverine, but because it's used with a yellow head, it works really well. This new hairpiece from Strad Von whatever his name is from the Dungeons and Dragons minifigures works really well, and I've given him the tomahawk axe to fit it all together. The next minifigure is also a native. I've used this hair from Milan and this old torso from a caveman minifigure, I guess, and then these legs from the barbarian. I've also given her a brown spear because I just think it suits really well, better than a full silver spear. I've given her a cloak and she's got these bigger boots on because I thought maybe she could be from a mountainous area of America. Everyone thinks of the Wild West as cowboys and sun and saloons, but there was also stuff going on in the wintry part of the world, and the natives there would have had to be better dressed. The next minifigure is this dress-up kid. I've given him this falsely large mustache and 2 pistols. I remember dressing up as a cowboy when I was a kid, and I'm sure loads of people have, and I just think this is a solid minifigure, and Lego loves to do dress-up minifigures and they love to include kids, so if this was going to be a real CMF, you know they would make something like this. If I had that one dress-up cowboy minifigure from a few series back, I could have given this kid the horse, which I think really would have tied the look together, but I think the obviously fake mustache really ties it together that he's a dressing up kid and he's got this like grinning face as if, yeah, I'm the toughest in the Wild West. The next minifigure is again standard. This is a space cowboy. Space cowboy, I don't even know why, but I just feel like that is the most known phrase ever. I've used this torso from the Mariachi Band Man because I really love this belt with the big eagle. I think that's so Wild Western. And again, I've used legs from the Lone Ranger. I've used these 2 taser pistol things, I guess. I don't really know what you call them, but I think they look like space guns. And then I've given him this tank on his back so that he can float through space and fight different aliens or space minifigures. And so that you know he's alien, I've used this half alien, half human face from the recent Space Series Blacktron minifigure. This isn't maybe the most alien looking minifigure, but I found it hard to find a green head, so this is what I went with in the end, and though it's not perfect, I actually think it came out great. The next minifigure is a fur trapper. Like I said, not everything going on in the Wild Western times was in the Wild West. I was thinking this guy could roam the Montana mountains or whatever. This minifigure is my favorite in the series personally because I love the idea of a fur trapper and I love this hat. This hat is from the Lego Movie CMF and I just think it's so cool. The legs are from Bjorn and the tattered cloak is from the Halloween minifigure series. What I've done for the torso is I've got the torso from the barbarian and then used the arms from Werewolf by Night. I think this is an amazing minifigure. I've given him a knife to cut the fur and this long rifle to shoot any animals to hunt for fur. I know Lego doesn't love guns and violence, so maybe this is a bit unrealistic, but I still think it came out great. I've also given him this husky because I feel like he's wearing all the fur to keep him warm, so I'll give him a dog with lots of fur to keep himself warm, and I've given him this satchel to store his goods. The next minifigure is this cowgirl, and I think she is another great minifigure from this series. At first, when I was using realistic skin tones, she ended up looking a bit too much like Wonder Woman, but I ended up switching her skin tone to yellow and only used the skirt piece from Wonder Woman, as well as the lasso. This corset piece matches really well with these blue and red legs, and I'm surprised I haven't used them earlier. My idea behind this minifigure is that it could easily be a Wild Western cowgirl or a modern cowgirl enthusiast. She could easily fit into a Wild Western saloon scene, or she could just as easily fit into a party in the modern day that is themed to be like the Wild West. Mostly, I think this looks like a Wild Western minifigure, but for example, her face has got this like eyeliner and lipstick and stuff, so it makes her look like she's going, yeah, party mode, woo. You can also use this other hat piece from Toy Story, which I've given this pink bow accessory at the back, because I swear, cowgirls, bows, and cheetah print is all I see these days. I don't know which one you guys think is better. I think the bow ties it all together as a party girl, but I think the white hat is more standard and just matches the skirt and so is much cooler to me. Next up is this miner minifigure. One of the coolest sets I remember my friend having as a kid was the Lone Ranger mine set. I just always thought the minifigures were great and the idea was cool and you could blow everything up, and I just thought this is sick. So what I've done here is made a cool miner minifigure. Now you can see he's got this sort of grin. I don't know how else to say that. And he's got this like patchwork trousers and all, but I've also given him TNT and a pickaxe so that he can fire it down the hole, pick out whatever's close to him, let it go boom and see what he gets. He's got this big belly and these like tied up suspenders. I forgot I had this torso piece, and when I found it I'm like, boom, this is gonna be perfect for this minifigure. The suspenders actually match really well to the waist piece on these legs, and his old farmer's hat and chin beard ties him together as maybe a Wild Western madman. The second last minifigure is this modern day policeman. I figure there's maybe not so many sheriffs in the Wild West these days, but there's definitely got to be someone keeping up the law. So I've used this tan police torso from a while back, and I paired it with these tan cargos in the same color to make it look like he's got his full suit on. And of course I've given him this wide brim hat, which looks like a modern day take on a cowboy hat, but keeps the sun out of his face. I originally gave him this big rifle, but I thought it's not really likely that LEGO would ever give him this. They may be happy enough giving a cowboy a gun because that's traditional, but a modern day cop, I don't think they'll ever really give a cop a gun. So instead I gave him handcuffs and this map, so that if maybe not much is going on in the town, he can at least help tourists who are lost and point out where things are. I think this is still a solid minifigure. Of course everyone would rather get a gun, but it's just not really likely to happen with LEGO, but I think I found some good accessories and they work well. The very last minifigure is a proper cowboy. Now I don't have a LEGO calf, so I had to go with a pig, but this is a Wild Western farmer. I've given him a pitchfork, a carrot, and a pig. This is possibly the weakest minifigure in the series because he's meant to be from the Wild West time, but his torso's blue and I don't know how realistic that is. However, I'm still happy with it. I've given him this scrappy face as if he's just a rugged farmer. I've given him the pitchfork because, I mean, that's what farmers use. And I've given him these two-tone legs to make it look like he's wearing boots. Like I said, not the best minifigure in the series, but I thought I have to include the original cowboy. If LEGO was to make this into a real series, of course they would make tweaks, for example giving the cowboy a cow, but I spent ages on this. Like I was up till 2 AM for a few nights, and I am really happy with how these minifigures turned out. Let me know what minifigure series you would like to see, and let me know what you think of my customs. I'll see you in the next one. Pieces.